Trying Howler 8, is it worth it? This video from BMP. Alright. The link is pinned at the top.
Today, all of the Howlers have been added to the gear
That's not very loud. Can you hear him?
hub for in-game currency. So I'm back on my free-to-play account. We're going to test out the Howler 8s here. I'm going to replace them with what I had my Revokers. I had my Revokers on Surge, so I'm going to replace these, put them on there, and see how good they can actually be. Like, are these weapons actually worth it? Alright, so here is my dual Howler 8.
I think that Howler's objectively worse than Revoker on anything that's Revoker based. So like obviously it's not going to do great on, or it could do decent, but it would obviously do worse than Revoker, right? But on something like even just like Lancer, for example, I actually think Howler Lancer makes kind of makes some sense, and Revoker or at least more sense than Revoker does, because Lancer doesn't want to be up in people's faces. It can get close relatively quickly, but it doesn't necessarily want to be up in your face. And Howler at the end of the day can do decent like burst damage for a couple seconds, and then you can get out of there. That's not too bad, honestly. I think potentially it makes sense on something like a Lancer, or at least more sense than Revoker does.
Surge, let's take it into a battle and see how it can do. Alright, here we go. First game with the Howler 8s. I am excited to see how these can do. Now, obviously, these are legendary close quarters weapons, so they are in direct competition with the Revoker.
Yeah, and because they're in direct competition with Revoker, that means that you really shouldn't even entertain the possibility of putting them on a designated Revoker mech like Surge or Zephyr, right? Something like Eclipse even, which the downside of Revoker Eclipse is that you have to chase people down, and sometimes it takes a bit of time to like actually chase people down with that. Because Eclipse is fast, but it, for every second that you're trying to close distance, you're taking damage. A dash mech is clearly better. EMP is a really useful status effect because it's free damage. And yeah, so like even on an Eclipse, I think it would have made more sense to test it on Eclipse.
Which is not a good thing for them since Revoker is extremely strong. It is better than them, right? Yeah. If you can get your hands on Revokers, you're definitely going to want to use that over them.
Let's be real though, if they released an epic, well actually no, perfect example, they did release an epic weapon. What am I even talking about? Fuse Mortar. Who even remembers that Fuse Mortar's free to play now? Nobody, because nobody cares. Because it's not legendary, it's not that good. By definition, lower tier stuff is just not as good, so why even care about it? You're not going to care about it. You think that you would, but you don't. And you know that you wouldn't. Redeemer's the most underrated mech. Well, that's your opinion.
Yes, but because the Howler 8 is for credits, that gives it some inherent value, right? Because it's like cheaper to get. Wow, this Orion just destroyed me. But you can see, like,
he says that, but here's the thing: is that Revoker 6s would do better than double Howler 8s, and they're cheaper. So Revoker 6s are 600,000 credits, I believe. Whereas Howler 8's like 800 something. 827,500, if I'm not mistaken, is the number that I put in the title of my video. So, yeah, it's not really true. He says technically it's true than a 16 energy Revoker build, but it's not technically true in terms of performance.
That damage isn't that bad, right? The thing with this weapon is that its damage per shot is actually pretty decent. But it struggles against like ML layers because as you can see we only have 4 shots in each magazine, so that's only 8 ML layers I could possibly take out. This weapon also has like the range of the shotgun, the normal shotgun, which is actually quite good.
It's the same range as Revoker, it's 39 meters. Actually no, wait. Normal shotgun doesn't have 39 meters. Normal shotgun has 32, doesn't it? And then Fragment Gun has like 29. We're talking base range. Am I tripping? I feel like that's true. So it's the same range as Revoker either way. It's 39 meters. But anyway, the thing with Howler is like, yeah, it does a lot of it does some solid like per shot damage. It's actually very solid. In fact, back in the day before mods were a thing, the top close quarters weapon was not Ember Gun, it was Railgun, which is a sniper weapon. if Howler didn't exist back then, but if it did, I believe that it could have been a relatively meta weapon. Maybe not better than Railgun because it still did less damage per shot, and it probably wouldn't have one-tapped as many things, but it would have been very, very, very solid. Railgun isn't close quarters, but it was used in close combat. It was the best weapon for close range combat because it would one-tap things, stupid amounts of damage per shot, and if you happen to miss a shot, you get multiple. The sniper meta was EM rifle for range, railgun for close range. So just because it's not classified as a close quarters weapon does not mean that it was not effective. Is the most effective close range weapon, the most effective weapon at close range, I should say. But yeah, so anyway, if mods didn't exist when Howler came out, I think Howler could have been a very, very meta-worthy weapon. But as it is right now, the mod layers just really chew the. It really takes the effectiveness. What's the word I'm looking for? It's not effectiveness. It just really kills it. Like that's really it.
Maxes out at, I think I have like a 39-meter range right now, which is, yeah, that's pretty solid range. Let's see if we can get the player here. Perfect. Just wrap around, ignore his mod shield, and then I can take him out pretty easily. So we're doing over 30,000 damage per shot if I do back damage, which is not too bad. Okay, there we go. We're going to get taken out, but that's alright. You can see there, like, it was pretty good with Surge, especially, like, I can assassinate a lot of enemies.
Yeah, but he could have done it. He could have done it with really anything. Like, I mean, Fragment Gun does better. Fragment Gun has 50% more ammo, and it only does, like, a fraction less damage. So if you're actually getting close to people like he was with Howler, if you're actually using it in really, really close proximity, like, you know, we're talking like 10 meters, which is what he was doing with Surge, obviously, because that's how Surge works, is you dash in close, and then you EMP them, and then you kill them while they're stuck. So if you're actually using it like that, Fragment Gun just makes more sense. So the benefit of Howlers is that you have better effective range, and you have to try to take advantage of that effective range if you want to really give it a fair review. I think if you want to give it the best chance possible, you would give it a fair chance. But he is correct in the sense that like you know, compared to like Revoker, it deals decent damage, but it's just clearly worse. And for most situations, anything that's inside Howler range is also inside Revoker range. So, like, at the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter whether or not it loses less damage. It still pretty much has the same effective range.
So, yeah, I would say that this thing has...
Fragment Gun's better than Arc Torrent. Why is it rare? Well, I mean, I don't know. Hellfire is worse than most things. Why is it legendary? I mean, ask me.
39 meters of range because you're getting at rank 5, so that's pretty good. That's pretty good range. I don't think you need to run like a Howler range implant. I honestly don't even know if there's one because I don't use it. I don't have it on this account, and
I disagree with them fully. If you're gonna get Howler, then in order to make it even moderately decent, you need to be able to use it at its strengths. And the strength is that it has better effective range. There is a range implant. You can get I believe 50% with a legendary, max legendary. Which is the same thing that Revoker will get, obviously, right? So Revoker and Howler both have the same maximum range, but Revoker does way less damage at that range because like it takes a really long time for the bolt to fire and come back. Right? So it really kills the RPM. So Howler ideally is used at as far range as possible. That's what I think. So yeah. If you're gonna try to use it, I'd try to, you know, get a range implant. Range implant's probably more important than the reload implant. What do you think will cause Revoker to not be meta? They'd have to like without straight up nerfing Revoker, they'd have to release something that does probably the same or similar damage, but has a lot better effective range. I think that's the only thing that would really kill it.
use it on my main account. Like, it just doesn't feel very necessary to me. the thing you're going to want to do is use a stun mech. So if you have a Surge, Surge is probably the best option for this, but I'm stunning the enemy, then hitting them from behind to make sure I fully take them out. So as long
I mean, like, technically, but that's like saying that your best use of Arc Torrent is on Surge because by EMPing them, you get free damage. And during that free damage time, you can use the Arc Torrent to kill them. It's like, yeah, that's technically true, but then every weapon is technically best used with a Surge. And you obviously don't have a full hanger of Surges. So I think if you're gonna use Howler, then you should not even attempt to use it similar to the way that you'd use your Evoker, because it's just not equivalent, even remotely. You should probably try to use it on something that's well, with as much range in mind as possible. Arc Torrent is good on Surge. I mean, like I said, technically speaking, yes, but for the most part, no. Like, you're making your Surge worse than it otherwise could. Like, you're making your Surge unnecessarily bad just for the sake of making your Arc Torrent a bit better. Like, it's not comparable. You're essentially trying to replace Revoker with Arc Torrent, and it's not like it's not the same, and it's not worth doing either. So like if you're trying, like I said, technically, every weapon is best used when the enemy is under the EMP status effect. Name me a weapon that doesn't do better if the enemy straight up can't move. Like, everything does better that way, obviously. Obviously, everything's easier to kill when it can't move, when it can't fight back. So there's it's not really the question then, right? It's not really a question of would it work better if I used it on Surge. The question at that point is then, is it worth using on Surge? Does it provide any type of value above that of what I already have, being a Revoker? And the answer is obviously no. So if you have Howler, then I don't think you should use it. I don't think you should use it on Surge. I don't think you should use it on Zephyr. I don't think you should bother putting it on an EMP mech at all. I'd say, like, I mean, Lancer was a decent one that I found if you have a Max Lancer, but otherwise, like, maybe some type of, like, pseudo-brawler mech like Aegis does reasonably well at that, at this SP with Howler.
as Howler isn't fighting against mods, like ML mods, it's honestly going to do fine. Even a blockade mod, because with the blockade, if you stun them, you can just move around behind them and bypass the blockade, because blockade only covers the front of an enemy mech.
Sure.
And at my level, I'm at 6k SP. If you guys are even lower, like, these are a pretty good option as an alternative for Revokers. Let me make it clear, like, these weapons aren't good to invest in. They're not good in the long term, but they're okay if you need an alternative for Revokers. I mean, you can see, I'm basically able to one-clip every enemy mech that I come across here.
I disagree, because again, he's giving the premise of an alternative to Revoker. I think Howler could theoretically have a place in some people's hangar, but if you're using it as a replacement for Revoker, let's say on Surge, we're gonna go on. I'm gonna go out on a limb. Let's just pretend that you have your Revokers on, like, Eclipse or something. You know, like your Revokers are being used. So Revokers aren't an option for you, and you need to find a better and you need to find a decent close quarters weapon to replace it, because Revokers just simply aren't an option for you at the moment. In that case, once again, Fragment Gun is better. 50% more ammo. I think it has less reload time, and it deals a tiny fraction amount less damage per shot. What you pay for it is that you have significantly less effective range, but again, you are a Surge, you are closing the distance immediately, and you're using it at like 10 meters at most, so you're going to deal maximum damage regardless. Fragment Gun is a better option. So you know, if you got Howler and you really want to make good use of it, I don't think Surge is the play. I don't think Surge is the play. I guess no matter how old Surge is, it will still be meta. I mean, maybe. Unless they nerfed it. I don't really see it being... I don't really see Surge exiting the meta unless they, like, straight up specifically nerfed it.
This guy probably has Revokers. Let's go get him. This is the enemy player. Yes, he does. Gotcha, buddy. Nice. Howler defeats Revokers. So yeah, I wouldn't upgrade these right. Don't get any of the 6, the 10, or the 12. Those are all for A coins. Definitely not worth it. You can see here we have 39-meter range. It's pretty serviceable, right? We don't really need like a ton of range to succeed here.
But that's where Howler did better than Revoker. Like at that range, Revoker would be very inconvenient. So it's probably, in my opinion, it's best to keep it at a range like that.
Dominating on this map, that's honestly not bad. Like, I'm not going to replace my Revokers with this, of course.
Obviously.
I hope that you all know that that would be a bad idea for my hanger, but I think that if you need an alternative, right, make sure to get the Revokers first, too. Don't buy these before you buy Revokers, because...
Even still, like, Ember Gun. And I was mentioning Fragment Gun, but Ember Gun would be better than both of them, right? Like, Ember Gun as a close quarters weapon on Surge specifically. Ember Gun makes more sense. Like, if you're using it at that range, you may as well be using something that does better at that range. Even if it's not Revoker, it could be something else. There's other weapons that just do better. So, yeah, I don't know. I agree with him in the sense that obviously it's not better than Revoker. He knows that. And I agree with him in the sense that if you want Howler to do well, it's probably going to do best on Surge. But I feel like that's only true by a technicality, because technically everything does better when it's on Surge. Like, except for maybe, I don't know, Rocket Mortar or something, because Rocket Mortar requires you to be at a certain range in order to even fire it. That's like maybe the only exception. Javelin, Helix Rack. Those are some of the only exceptions, but everything's easier to kill when it's under the MP status effect, so that's like not really a question, right? So, yeah, no. If I was going to recommend a mech for Howler, I don't really know what I'd say. I mean, I made my own video and I said that Aegis and Lancer both did decent, which they did. But, is that they're going to be the best mech for it? Probably not. I don't know. You also get Frag Gun Legendary Implant for cheap. That's true too, yeah. At that point, I'm not sure which one would be better, Fragment Gun or Ember Gun. But even still.
They're just not better, right? But they can work if, let's say, you have a Surge and you have a Surge and a Nomad. You put your Revoker 10 and your Revoker 6, which are both for credits. You put those on your Nomad, and then on your...
See, but this was the thought experiment that we did earlier. We made the assumption, okay, let's say that your Revokers are predisposed and you have them on something else. That's a fair argument to make, because, maybe you don't. Like, multiple mechs do really, really good with Revoker. Fair enough. At that point, though, like, is Howler a decent option for your Surge? I don't think so. No, I think Fragment Gun's better. I think Ember Gun's better. If you're going to choose one, I'd probably go Ember Gun, but, Fragment Gun is still better and way cheaper than Howler is. So, yeah, like, I don't think it's really close. I don't think that there's much comparison there, and I don't think it really needs mentioning. So I think he's a little bit too focused, and he did mention that he doesn't use the range implant, and that's probably why. He thinks that it's basically just a question of close quarters combat. You shouldn't be using Howler at close quarters as much as you can help it. Like, it's a close quarters weapon, obviously, but you want to have as much range as you freaking can, because that is essentially the benefit that it has. Like, that's the one thing that it has on any other close quarters weapon, is that it has decent effective range. And so, clearly he just, he hasn't tried the range implant, so he doesn't really know. But I think his mind is kind of in the wrong spot. He's thinking about it the wrong way, I think.
Surge, you just put the Howler 8s until you can get like dual copies of both of those and more Revoker implants. That's another thing. You might not have dual Revoker implants immediately right away. Also, for the implants for this weapon, like I said before, you don't really need a range implant because you're going to get a 39-meter range on these, which is pretty solid. And then also, I would use... You have to use the damage implant, and you have to use the reload implant, which is what I have. I have the best damage and reload implant I have. So if you...
No, you don't need a reload implant. Because if you're not going to brawl with it, look at what he's doing, too. He's engaging one enemy at a time. He's engaging one enemy at a time, killing that one enemy, and then backing off. And that's probably how you should do it. But at that point, if he kills them with one mag, he doesn't need reload. He needs range. He can get better effective kills if he has more range. So that's what I would do personally. If you could only choose two, I'd go with damage and range over reload.
Plan to use these longer term, I would only use the Howler 8s, by the way. I guess if you really want to use the 16 plus 8, but definitely don't, like, upgrade these weapons. Don't, like, upgrade legendary implants to max level or anything. Like, I want to make it clear, like, I'm recommending these in case you need another option. They are not actually good weapons, and they suck against mods, so once you get later into the game, they're just going to be bad. But, if you need a second option, I feel like these could be pretty good. Now, here's the thing. I want to test these in Hangar Showdown, because in Hangar Showdown in my league, nobody could even use mods. So, I'm actually curious how good these will be. I think these might actually be, like, really good. I'm not sure, but... Oh, here we go. We're gonna go down. So, let's just go test these in Hangar Showdown. I really want to see how they can do. 9 kills and 3 beacons on a long-range sniper map with them, by the way.
And never even
Alright, I'm up against a Revoker Eclipse and Stormrack Bastion. Here we go.
Still on Surge, I probably wouldn't.
I'm gonna be careful.
What does he have his Revokers on?
3 beacons on a long-range sniper map with them.
Well, that's not his Hangar Showdown.
Alright, I'm up against a Revoker Eclipse and Stormrack Bastion. Here we go.
Depending on what you have as his Revokers on.
The Eclipse is over here. I'm going to be
I
careful.
I still think it's kind of a waste.
Okay, this Bastion's cracked, so I'm just going to stun him, take him out, and then we just need to use these to help our teammate get the kill here. I did good damage. Yeah, he should be able to get him. Yeah. I mean, that feels like they're not that bad, right? Like, obviously the damage is lower than Revokers, but it's not so much.
So he's just straight up not using it. He's just straight up not using it. Here's what I would do. Howler 8s on Aegis. He has Railgun 8s on it at the moment. Howler works in a very similar way, except you get more damage output per magazine, and you don't have an like eternity and a half reload time. Which you guys can't see it. He has Railgun 8s on Aegis. Whoopsie. So, I would go back to the Revokers on Surge, because obviously that makes sense. Nobody's gonna not use Revoker on Surge. But the thing is, like, oh, okay, you know, how do you make the best use out of your Howlers at that point? I'd say Aegis actually makes sense. And it could potentially do better than what it currently has.
Lower. All right, here we go. We have an Orion teammate up against a Panther plus an Aegis. I'm kind of scared of that Panther. He's going to have some crazy radius, I think. Which, this is not him. Yeah, this is him. I'm going to take care of him first. He might not know I have a 60-meter dash. Nice, he fully missed as well. Yeah, there. Especially in Hangar Showdown where our weapons get maxed out, we're just going to destroy everyone. I don't think there's any mech that could, like, take this without an ability going or something. Like, just on pure HP. Good job, teammate.
I think that you just could from the front,
yeah, these weapons, the damage feels like very reasonable. Look, my teammates also bought the Howler. But he got the Howlers on release day. He's got the Howler 16. That one...
He has a Howler 16. My guess is he bought it at low rank.
One's also for credits in case you missed it earlier. I believe I said it. We are up against a Seeker plus an Outlaw.
I doubt that this guy
is going to be a problem. Seeker's here. Got you, dude. I got you. We can one-shot a Seeker. That's pretty nice, right? That's what you want to see. I mean, Surge and Zephyr there are really good for that. All right, I might be cooked. I gotta watch for the disruptors. I need to split for my teammates. See, so you can only get one of us at a time.
I never thought about using it in Hangar
Showdown. Alright, he fired.
In my video.
So he's gonna have to choose who he wants to take out.
I should have.
Good job. And then I stun him. Perfectly played by my teammate. And our Howlers are enough damage.
Yeah. Also, like, one little note that I have to make. Nothing that he said. But,
and then I stun him.
One of the perks of Howler is that it goes through enemies. And this is another reason as to why you shouldn't be this close. You see the way that these are spreading because your weapons automatically angle inward toward the enemy that's close by. It's going to automatically spread these weapon projectiles. They'll pass through the enemy, but they'll automatically spread apart. And so anyone that's directly behind them, they're not going to be affected at all. So being as far back as possible ensures that your projectiles are firing as straight as possible, as straight toward the enemy. And so they're always angled in slightly, but they'll overlap just like a really small amount. And so they'll only pass across each other a little bit for enemies that are right behind them, so that you could actually get multiple kills that way a bit easier, or at least get damage on multiple enemies a bit easier from as far range as you can really manage, to be honest.
Played by my teammate. And our Howler.
Howler on Seeker may be a good choice. I mean, the issue again is multi-layered mods. I mean, a Seeker doesn't necessarily jump on enemies with multi-layered mods, so could be. That's not necessarily the worst choice, I think. You might be right. But we're talking like max level, right? I clearly don't have like a rank 4 Seeker. If I did, then I would.
These are enough damage, plenty of damage. Even I think they're more damage than Hanger Shutdown. These feel very reasonable if you're in a lower league at least. Let's go. We got the same teammate with the same Howler Zephyr. That's so funny. Let's go, dude.
Gemini Salver, dude.
Howlers. Oh no. Oh, they got a Gemini guy on me.
And
Alright, I'm gonna have to get close to both of these guys are kind of counters for me. This guy right here is a Blockhorn, and then this guy has Gemini, which is annoying. Shoot him. You gotta look where the Gemini is coming from, and then you can kind of dodge it. But here we can go under him. So, oh, we got one-shotted by him. No.
Gemini's
no, my Howler teammate. No, he got both of us. Well, Howler. Alright, we got the same teammate again. Nice. We've won the last two, so hopefully we can win this one as well. We have a Lacewing with us on the enemy team.
I still think
so
like, it just
that could be a little bit of a problem. Pod Lacewing.
Just put Revoker on Search. Like, I understand the theoretical if your Revokers were otherwise predisposed, but like, there is no better mech for Revoker than Surge. It just doesn't exist. Like, if you, even in the hypothetical scenario that he presented, which was Nomad would be, you'd be better off putting Revoker on Surge and Ember Gun on Nomad, because Ember Gun would increase the amount of ability damage that Nomad deals. So, like, damn it. Every time I sneeze, I have to sneeze 3 times. Anyway. Well, I swear, every time, like, you cannot, there's no such thing as sneezing once. It just doesn't exist. But, yeah, so, like, what I was saying, if you have Revoker, if you own Revoker, there's no better mech to put it on than Surge. It's just, like, it just doesn't exist. So I don't think there's really any point in making a theoretical argument about what if you have your Revokers on something else. I don't think it really makes a lot of sense. But even if you did, it just doesn't, like, it. Even if you did make that argument, Howler wouldn't even be the second best weapon that you could choose. Like, Ember Gun would be better, and it's cheaper. Fragment Gun would be better, and it's even cheaper. So, like, it doesn't make sense. I wouldn't do it. So I think he's focusing a little bit too much on the close quarters aspect of it.
A little low on HP.
Which I think is the weakest aspect of it.
Get him, and I just want to cut off the line of sight. There we go. We fully one-clipped him. My damage was a little low there, though, because I wasn't getting back damage. I need to quickly kill him. And then we got this one as well. GG, dude. Nice.
Howler.
Yeah, the Howlers seem pretty decent for Hanger Shutdown. I am using them on Surge, just remember that. With the legendary pilot.
So you put his Howlers on Aegis, because he has a Railgun Aegis. Right? He has that Railgun Aegis. It just doesn't make sense.
Yours might be a little weaker, but they definitely seem like viable, at least in the lower leagues where there are no mods allowed. That's not the Howler. Use the Hemlock. Oh no. Okay, I have to stick with him. Oh wait, I don't know. I need to snipe the Surge.
Right, see, now he's using this build that I was specifically talking about. I wonder if he actually mentions that maybe it would be good on that.
Cover. Okay, this is the Surge. He's on us. Good job. I just have to focus this guy.
He almost didn't kill him, bro.
No.
See, now he has to reload.
I believe.
What did I say? He could have got more damage output, and he could have had a faster reload if he had Howlers instead of the Railguns. And he didn't need the Railgun range. He didn't need the range that Railgun gave. He didn't. I don't think he ever even really shot at range. Or maybe he did. Maybe he shot the Surge one time. But even still, it's like, you know, I don't know. I feel like...
I believe in the Howler. Yes, the Howler beat Revoker Surge. Let's go. Yes. Alright, so that was me testing out the Howler 8s on my Surge. Overall, they seem pretty decent. Obviously, worse than the Revoker. Also, there's a Howler 8 crate rush today, so don't ever spin this. Please don't spin
Yeah.
this. It's a complete waste of acorns. Just don't.
Spending
But yeah,
acorns on a
I
weapon
would
that
only
you coulda
recommend you
got
get
for
these if you
credits.
really need another close quarters build, or obviously you want to get the
Game
Howlers for
tactics.
fun. They are not better than Revoker. They're probably not better than Ember Gun even. I don't know. I haven't tested, but because of the against mods, basically these weapons are bad. So don't invest into them. Don't buy any of the ones for acorns, but you can get especially the 8s or the 8+16 if you really want.
If you're going to use it as a close range brawler type weapon, Ember Gun's going to be better, even if mods aren't involved, because like Ember Gun just has no reload time. It doesn't have to worry about it. Howler has a definitive maximum damage output before it has to reload, and if you're in a close quarters brawl situation and you have to reload halfway through that, you're dead. It's just GG. There's no chance. So yeah, I don't think it's really worth even comparing them. You kind of can't. You can't use them in the same situations. Is the thing that I'm trying to say.
Mostly for fun, but could be kind of like as a secondary close quarters build if you have, especially for Surge or Zephyr probably. But yeah, overall my recommendation, do not get this weapon. It's not very good. But
and it's the same thing that I've been saying. Same thing with like Stormrack, right? Because the EMP effect just gives you free damage. Why would you limit yourself? Why would you have a mech that allows you to get free damage, but then limit that free damage with a weapon that has an extremely short magazine size, like a very small magazine that has very limited damage output in a certain amount within a certain amount of time. He can fully mag dump on somebody during a surge duration, and if he doesn't kill them, he's just hosed. Like there's nothing he can do about it, right? And that's not a thing that you should. That's not a thing that you should accept. Like I mentioned, Fragment Gun would be better, but Ember Gun was probably the most ideal as a replacement for Surge, for Revoker Surge, simply because you don't have to worry about in the event that you don't kill them as quickly as you intended to. It's just a matter of 1 or 2 extra shots, which you can afford to do because you have that really really short reload time. Howler doesn't have that really short reload time, so it's the same reason that I say don't use Stormrack on something like a Zephyr or a Surge, because it's a free damage mech. It's a free damage ability, and there's no reason to be using a weapon that has extreme, like, very specifically limited damage output. So, yeah, that's what I would say about that. Something like probably Aegis is like one of the better ones. I'm not even gonna lie, because the Aegis, the thing with it is that, and look at what he's using on it too. He's using double Stormrack 6s on his Aegis. I wonder if he has the 2 reload implants. If he has a legendary reload implant on this, then that's going to be really good. But if he doesn't, then honestly, I think, and BMP, if you're watching this, I think your Howlers or 8s would probably do better on your Aegis than these double Stormrack 6s would if there's no reload implant on this. Because it's still limited damage output, but you have a bit more brawling capability. And it's good damage per shot, and, obviously Aegis is not a fast mech, so it can, it doesn't necessarily need to be close. Can't get close super quickly. But yeah, it's definitely not a Revoker substitute on anything. Anything that would be good with Revoker probably should not be used with Howler.
But you've seen today, it can do decent, and in those Hangar Showdown lower leagues where there's no mods, it's probably fine, honestly. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy, if this video was helpful, please drop a like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one.
Here it is again. BMP's video.